Hello and welcome back to the Jurassic Experience Malta. Last episode we did the Visitor Hub, which was a pretty grand and impressive design here. We were limited by the terrain that was created around us, but we concluded it with this beautiful ancient fortress on this island in the lake, which is now surrounded by hotels and palm trees. We have the main drag here, which encourages people to feel refreshed and to buy iced coffee. We're going to do the monorail hub here first. As I said in the previous episode, we are doing a monorail system because Malta is a really hot place, and it would be unreasonable to expect people to, well, walk the entire park without shade, which there is very little shade in this area. So we are doing the monorail. Of course, though, the monorail only goes so far, so you do still have to walk back to the visitor hub, to your hotel, but there's plenty of restaurants and stuff along the way for you to buy refreshing drinks. After a long journey into the park, seeing all those dinosaurs, you're gonna feel thirsty. So as you go back to your hotel, you pick up an iced coffee for $6 American and drink it and feel good. And you have all those fountains to kind of mist you. We're adding these cactuses here. I like the cactuses, they're pretty cool. We can't just do palm trees, we have to sort of show that this is a dry environment. Now we're just going to extend some of these deserty plants over here. And I do have an idea of what to do, but first we're just going to fill in this area here. But I'll tell you about it. This is just putting in some monorail stations for future development. So the park is going to have a monorail system. It's not going to be a closed loop. It is going to be a line that has two terminus stations. I know that seems a little bit counterproductive in a sense, but also it does encourage people, if they're staying over the weekend, then they can explore one side of the line. If they're doing a full day tour, they can go to one side and work their way over. But of course you can walk the whole park. You know, it's not like you need to use the monorail. It's the only way to get from A to B. But yeah, if you try to do it like that, it's not perfect. But it'll be helpful. If you walk your way all the way to one end, you can just monorail back to the middle, and that'll be good too. Here I'm working on that second monorail station, and I had this great idea. Is I want the monorail to mean something to the guests, especially since Malta is very hot. Climate is changing, getting hot. So I want the monorail to have a meaning to people. I want it to be an oasis where they can feel refreshed, feel cool, feel, I don't know, comfortable. So that's what we're going to be doing. Now, I had this idea here. I will change it a little bit, but the idea is essentially that if the monorail ever breaks down, I want the people to be able to evacuate and make their way back to the park. So we're going to have a sort of a pathway that goes along the length of the monorail, that if the monorail does have an issue, the people can evacuate down one of these legs and they can go back to civilization. That's the idea. But I am going to change it to a facility path. That way people won't use it if I were doing a park to, like, I left the people on, the visitors were on, I didn't close the park for some reason, then they won't be using it. I don't want it to ruin the aesthetics. It's just for an emergency. But that's the idea I have. I want some sort of realism. I'd imagine there'd be a staircase on some of these legs, or not a staircase, but maybe a ladder in an emergency. Now here we're adding a restaurant. It could be anything. It could be a drink store or something, but that's the idea. We got some fountains, make people feel hydrated. Well, not hydrated, but comfortable, make the saliva glands activate and say, water. Or something, maybe Gatorade. And we want something in here. It's hard to know what to do with the Malta look, but I think we do it pretty well with the plants and the variety. Now I'm adding another body of water here at this monorail station, and the idea is that when you get here, you feel like, oh, you've reached the oasis. This is safety. This is safety for your senses, for your desires, which of course your desires would be hydration. So we need to have this feeling here, like you're coming in from the desert and you found this beautiful oasis. I am trying to make it work with the paths. You know, I want a path going around it, but I also want it to be flat. I don't want the path to be all weird. I forget if I just ripped it all out and then I did the circle first. I do forget if I did that. But I have a feeling I might have done that. Unless, of course, this circle looks really good, which it does not. Does it? I don't know, I forget. In future episodes of this series, I do really try to cut everything that I did not keep. Like, I don't even show it. So you'll see paths just appear and disappear as I go, because I just don't even want to show you me putting them down if I'm just going to rip them up later. But it looks like I keep this one. Yep, I definitely keep it, because I wouldn't decorate it if I didn't. So I guess it doesn't look that bad. Here I do another body of water as well, because we do want to keep that feeling, right? Monorail stations are safety. They are comfort. So I'm adding an oasis, at least I'm trying to, for every one of them, every station. Now this episode isn't just decorating monorail stations, don't worry. There are going to be dinosaurs. We're working on the central area today. I'm sort of working from both sides. And like usual, I do use the medium path for the main paths. And then I use the smaller path for the branches, although there are not too many branches in this map for me. By the end of it, you'll see I do use a lot of medium paths. But I'm just trying to make it work. Here, trying to get a feel for it. So now we're going to add the monorail extension from the other side. And I do want to keep it out of the way. I don't want the monorail line to take up too much space. And we're going to go over this mountain, which, or hill. But for a lot of my parks, it's not about maximizing space and having one super giant mega park experience. I could, of course, do one series for that in Jurassic World Evolution 3, a giant super mega park that incorporates all available space into it. But for most of my parks, I do try to make the environment first, and then I work around the environment. And I do think it turns out well. I always say that by the end, I think, wow, I came into this with no plan, and I think it looks pretty good by the end. Nothing's ever perfect. There's no such thing, I think, as a perfect park. Unless you're willing to spend maybe 100 hours on it. Like, I watched an Evolution Squared video where I think she did a park with every species had their own enclosure, and it was gigantic. And yeah, that's a perfect park. It's clean. It's very well laid out. Here I'm changing all the paths here to facility paths. This is a good thing to do. Facility paths are interesting. If you build them really close to the monorail legs, it doesn't make the legs disappear as much, I guess. Like, you'll see up here where some of the legs disappeared, they come back, you see? So if a regular path is near a leg, the leg disappears. But that same path as a facility path, the leg is still there. So that's pretty cool. Here I've added another small restaurant here. And I had this idea, of course, to make this area a little more inviting by creating a sort of plaza. So that's what we're going to do. Perfect. And then some decorations here. Again, some fountains are definitely very welcome. People are going to be pretty hot when they come here. So to have that nice, cool fountain breeze on you is great. Now these rock planters, surprisingly, they do go very well with the Malta aesthetics, I think. I am pretty surprised, but I do use them a lot. And of course, we need to add our favorite thing at the table with umbrellas. Perfect. Oh, we'll do some more over here, though. Yeah, that looks really nice. It really does feel pretty comfortable. I really like these trees here. I don't know what type they're supposed to be, but I really love how they look pretty bushy. And then we'll add some larger trees here around it, but we don't want to take away from the palm trees too much. Now we're going to get some more path work in. I don't want to incorporate the back into the park area. You know, that is the back. That's unused by the park for the purpose of guests. So I am leaving it out. Now, of course, if you had to evacuate from the monorail, then you would see the back of dinosaur enclosures from there, but you wouldn't go down there to see the dinosaur enclosures. Here we're just adding our observation buildings, the viewing galleries. And where should I put this? There's a good place, and we're going to add our fences. Now, I would say that this particular fence is my favorite fence in the game. It's a good opportunity to say I am playing on Sandbox mode, unlimited money. Dinosaurs don't break out. Dinosaurs don't get aggressive. Dinosaurs live with all dinosaur species. I don't even know if the rules about the preferred species is even based on anything real, because how do we know if a triceratops doesn't want to live with other triceratops, or what have you. You know, they have rules about that where they don't like to live with other species. I don't think that that would be a big issue in reality. So I've turned that off for the sake of this park. And I should add, I do have a lot of species coexisting with other species. In Jurassic Peak, I tried to make most dinosaurs have their own enclosure. I did that specifically because I wanted to give each dinosaur the honor of the of having their own space. But of course, when I got to Feather Peak in Jurassic Peak, there was too few feathered dinosaurs, and half of them were so small that I don't even think they should have counted. So in order to fill in the area, I wanted to incorporate multiple dinosaurs just to make it feel like it was even worth going up there to see. Because if I went to Jurassic Peak and I thought that, what's the point of walking, I don't know, 5 kilometers up the mountain to see the smallest possible dinosaur in the world, is kind of lame. So, yeah. But in this park, I do mix the dinosaurs. So I've added an observation tower. I used probably one of the worst ones in the world. I really don't like that one. It has the metal bars, you know, to keep you in. So you have to look through the metal bars to see the dinosaurs. I really don't like it. But it really seems like it would fit in Malta. It looks like it would be good for Malta. I've added another one of these oases. There's not really a purpose for it here, but I do think that it's good. Now we're going to add more fencing. This is going to be a big enclosure, so it's going to have multiple species. I am using species in this park that I really don't usually use, but it is good to branch out. Here, I'll just leave that unfinished for now. I don't know how far the path is going to go. And I'm not being too strict about the fences and the how close they are to the path and everything. It doesn't matter for this park. That's one thing I find is this park really turned out to feel like there was a lot of fence. And you're always walking next to fences for a lot of it. But unfortunately, that's just how it is in Malta. That's how we're doing it. But we make it work. Don't worry. So for this particular enclosure, this is a big one. We're going to add some water bodies here. And we're just going with the feeling. We're going by the feeling. Now, of course, there might be more water in this park than there was in Jurassic Peak, but I do think that it is important for the dinosaurs to have enough water. And who knows, maybe in the wet season there's more water, and in the dry season it dries up a bit, so there's less water. But there's always water, and there's always space for water. Now there is space here for one more enclosure, so I am going to add that in. Funnily enough, I forget to add dinosaurs to this enclosure for this episode, so you'll see that in the next episode. But I did think that was pretty funny. Being forgetful is funny. And I guess I say it often enough, but there's always a possibility that somebody is watching one of my videos for the very first time, and they're like clicking on episode 5, and it's the first Jurassic World Experience video that they've seen. But I do think that this game looks really good. And I think that, well, it doesn't look photorealistically beautiful, but I do find with some very simple tools and simple brushes and simple combinations, you can really make things look extraordinarily good. So I am always so impressed by how, I'm not a guy who thinks I have much skill in making parks. I'd actually say that I'm probably one of the less good park managers for Jurassic World Evolution content, but I always at the end of a park just think, wow, that turned out so well. That looks so beautiful. But it's all because of these magic brushes, We've got just that perfect combination of plants and textures that from many distances it looks quite good. So that's one thing I really like about Jurassic World Evolution, is that it makes a guy like me feel good about what I've done. Oh, let's see here. This is a good thing to do. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I do like to give a little more space around the bodies of water here, and if I have two that are close together, I like to connect them. That way, from a viewing gallery, you can see them easily moving from one side to the other. And now we are going to decorate with our favorite object, the rock. I'm using purely desert rocks for this park. I know in Jurassic Peak I did mix and match a lot of rocks, but for this park I'm using only desert rock. Not because I think that there's like a rule or anything. I just think the desert rock looks pretty good in this park, so I just stick with it. Okay, that looks great. I decided I'd make this area very sandy. I think that'll be good for visibility as well for the dome there, or whatever it's called, the viewing dome. I think that'll be good. So we're gonna get rid of this foliage here. And here's something to do. I'll just sort of mix in a little bit of this sand color with that sand color, just so it doesn't look like, you know, a beautiful beach. We want it to look a little more animal, a little more natural. So we're gonna add that in, make it a nice shade in between. Another thing great about Jurassic World Evolution 2 is how great these sort of ground textures blend together. And we're going to add just a little bit of foliage here and there. Create these sort of foliage islands. That looks good. And we'll add some rocks. That always makes these look so much better. Because you would think that, well, the rock is a very large natural body that is going to prevent wind movement. It's going to prevent water movement. And it's going to allow for seeds and wetness to accumulate in this area that would naturally encourage some foliage to grow, where it wouldn't grow in the wide open. So it's a good idea. Yeah, it looks great. Getting some sort of swept feeling here. Okay, we're getting our first dinosaurs in. So this is that large enclosure we just did with the sand. So we've got
dinosaurs like this, the Majungasaurus, that can really be a handful. It's short, stocky, and lives for the hunt. This is also one of the only dinosaurs we know of that may have engaged in cannibalistic behavior. Nothing like having your friends over for dinner.
The Majungasaurus. A beauty, naturally. So again, we're not doing districts in this park as well. We are doing a little bit of everything everywhere. Of course, there will be the aviary district and the lagoon district, but when it comes to types of dinosaurs on the land, there's no real rule.
Now, stay with me. This dinosaur is called a Carcharodontosaurus. Talk about a mouthful, right? And seeing that this animal is an alpha predator, its mouth is usually full of the slow, the weak, and the inattentive. Hence the reason I'm not getting near it. You, on the other hand.
Okay, the Carcharodontosaurus. Well, that is a very long name, but he's fierce. And lastly, we have some Gallimimuses to go into our enclosure. Here's our Gallimimus here.
Asset delivery confirmed.
There isn't a more iconic dinosaur than the T-Rex. Even people who don't know the difference between herbivore and carnivore know all about the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And when you see her up close, feel her gaze, you understand why the T-Rex was the ruler of the Cretaceous period.
This is not a Gallimimus. What is this? I ordered 5 Gallimimuses for $50,000. Here we have the Stegosaurus. I do like the Stegosaurus, of course. For dinosaurs as well, I should add, I am using some brighter colors. I'm trying to get the dinosaurs to look a little bit vibrant compared to the sandy environments that they're in. I want them to appear more visible and striking, visibly striking. Here we have a Kentrosaurus.
Is another of those spiky-backed dinosaurs. A dinosaur that relied on intimidation to keep the predators at bay. And failing that, a difficult meal to catch and chew. Think of it as a prehistoric porcupine.
Right. We have a lot of dinosaurs like this in the game with spikes. It's quite unusual though. You know, growing up, I never saw a picture of a dinosaur with spikes coming out of its side like that, or out of its neck. You know, usually when I thought about spiky dinosaurs, it was just the Stegosaurus or the Ankylosaurus. There was no sort of weird
First discovered in
spiked
China,
guy.
the Chungkingosaurus has distinctive twin plates that run along its back. And it can swing its spiked tail, called a thagomizer, like a massive medieval mace. This is a dinosaur best observed at a distance.
A thagomizer. That's an interesting term. This guy's pretty cool. But those shoulder spikes are pretty interesting. I do think that that is pretty cool. Again, we are using dinos that I very rarely use. Of course, I like to have some bigger guys. Here we have... beautiful. The Sinoceratops.
The Sinoceratops, an herbivore that shares many traits with its more famous cousin, the Triceratops. This is a docile animal that you could make into a solid favorite with a little effort. Of course, we're all expecting more than a little effort, but I'm sure you get what I mean.
I really like this one. I love how the crown really bends forward. It has that lovely bend in it. So this is definitely one of my favorites for this park. Here we have, what do we have? Oh, I think I remember this one, the Pentoceratops. Yeah, Pentoceratops.
So the Pentaceratops here, it has 5 horns. 1 on the nose, 2 on the brows, and 2 extending out from its jugular bones. It seems excessive, but maybe it's necessary.
I love the crown on this one is so magnificent. Again, I'm trying to use some very striking color patterns. But this one is really cool. Well, it looks like that about does it. Thank you very much for watching. This was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. I hope you did too. And, well, we'll definitely be seeing you again soon for the next episode.